Well, thank you very much, and thank you, Alicia, and thank you for all the distinguished guests here today, justices and leaders of the Filipino community here in Ontario. Friends, I was just at an event with the Prime Minister, and I'll have to tell you something. When you listen to the Prime Minister in person, it presents a whole different respect for people that put their name on a ballot and want to strengthen our identity and our country. Actually, the Prime Minister spoke about the covenant that we all have, understanding it never matters where we came from or how we came here to our country. But when we're here, we have to subscribe to the values of standing up for one another no matter what. And I was very grateful to hear the Prime Minister, and you'll hear more later when you see the news. Earlier today, I had the privilege of going very early in the morning, I might add, to Niagara Falls, where I spoke to the Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police, the Ontario Association of Police Service Boards, managed to come back to the legislature, and had a series of media interviews. But that's just a normal day. I have to tell you that today, as we begin to acknowledge Philippine Heritage Month, I wanted to say for a few minutes what it means for me and why I'm so glad, Alicia, that you invited me to speak for a few minutes. In 2022, when I became a candidate for the PC party in a riding that my wife and I proudly call home York Centre, one of the first people that I called, not knowing him, but wanting to seek his counsel, was my friend Rolly Magante, the founder of Taste of Manila. And I wanted to understand something that I did not know. I wanted to understand why at Bathurst and Wilson there is an unusual but warmly welcome concentration of Filipino businesses and lawyers who decided that that would be known, and I've called it our little Manila. I went to see Rolly, and we talked about the Filipino community's journey to Ontario. And he introduced me to somebody whose friendship I treasure to this day, Monina Serrano. May she continue to live a very long life. When Monina Serrano told me the story in greater detail, the story of the Filipino immigration to Ontario, we know took place about 50 years ago. When she came here, the Filipino community was very small, and it grew, and it grew. And along the way, when people from the Philippines came to our city in the 70s, to Toronto or to the province, a lot of them were caregivers. And I'll tell you why. They brought their warmth and their compassion and their empathy with them. And people soon realized this is a very special community. And as the community grew and the original founders had children, those children went on to become lawyers and doctors and educators and anything and everything that anybody from Ontario could aspire to. And they helped us realize something, that in our province, we all have a place to belong, to succeed, and to contribute. The very first event I attended in the earliest days of being elected MPP was, in fact, the Filipino Independence Day celebration at Queen's Park. I had not yet been sworn in as a cabinet minister, though cabinet ministers were sworn in a few weeks later. And tomorrow, interestingly enough, will be my 4th year as an MPP, and it has been a privilege of a lifetime. That day at Queen's Park, I met the leaders of the Filipino community here. Philip, I think you were there. I remember so many people there, and you took me under your wing, and I attended not only that event, but many in the following days. And I made a promise and a pledge to a community I didn't really know. that I would do not anything to support the community, I would do everything, and that there was nothing more important to me than the strength and vibrancy and success of the Filipino community. In fact, I want everybody to know that the community of York Center has, in fact, one of the largest diaspora Filipino communities anywhere in the country. A few weeks after that, I asked one of the Filipino leaders to take me to the monument at Earl Bales Park, which is the monument to acknowledge Jose Rizal. Jose Rizal, as I've said many times, and again, Philip, you and Ben Corpus and others have heard me echo the words that if it wasn't for Jose Rizal, I don't believe we would be here today, because the Filipino community would unlikely be here today. And I don't necessarily know we would have a democratic and progressive country of the Philippines. But thank goodness he came to Canada, and the rest of history we know. When I was asked to have bestowed upon me an honorary Knight Commander position of the Knights of Rizal, I said at that ceremony that there was no higher honor that I have received to be recognized by the Filipino community as one of their own. And I have to tell you, to this day, wearing that barong with the Knights of Rizal green collar and gold means the world to me. But there's something else I learned along the way. I learned that if I would learn the tune to Bayang Migilu, then I would better understand what it means, Bayang Migilu. And I remember singing it. But you know what struck me in that anthem was actually understanding Lupang Hininirang means the chosen land. It means that that's why you've chosen to come to Canada and to bring everything that your ancestors gave to you. Our job in our Ontario is understanding that the richness of our tapestry was never determined by just one part of the community. It's actually representative of every one of us. And that tapestry, that magic quilt of Ontario, has been worn, and it's been stretched a bit, but it's never been torn, especially today with the world in turmoil and with geopolitical conflicts around the globe as confusing and as serious as they are. We have to go back to who we are in Ontario today. I think the Prime Minister did a very good job in understanding and making us be aware that the covenant that we have is to our country, but it's also to each other. And we have to be there for one another no matter what, no matter the odds, no matter the risks. But it's the consequences of not standing up for one another that's the greatest threat to our democracy. I look to the strength of the Filipino community, of which I am proud to be very much a part of, as reflecting in your own history, your own struggle, firstly, to obtain the independence almost 130 years ago, and fighting for democracy as you have done many times on the beaches, at Corregidor, and other places in the Second World War that could have gone one way or another. And you did it again in the last number of decades when you reminded each other that democracy is something that we always have to fight for, no matter what. And today in Ontario, especially Alicia, at this event, we come to celebrate the excellence of the Filipino community in law. You see, in Canada, people look to the law as being their protection of fulfilling their democratic rights and values, something that is enshrined in our Constitution. I'm so proud of not only those members who are part of the society to which we are gathered together today. and those that are being honored and recognized, and our most esteemed jurists and judges that are part of reminding Canada that we stand for the democracy that has been passed on to us for generations. But most importantly, and perhaps very importantly, it's that we are one. We are one. It doesn't matter the color of our skin, where we came from, how we got here, who we love. It doesn't matter our faith. It doesn't matter the language that we speak or had spoken. There's so much here that binds us. I'll end by saying that in Canada, especially today, and perhaps at the behest of the President of the United States, who, I will give him credit, believes in this concept of patriotism and pride. But what he doesn't realize is the diversity of our country is incredible. And what has happened as a result of us looking back inwards is being proud of our identity as Canadians. Invoking the French word, c'est notre terre, le vrai nord fort et libre. This is our land. It is the true north. And it is a place that we all belong and should be proud of it. And I'm so grateful that you've taken the opportunity to extend an invitation to me. And Alicia, there is no place that I would rather be than being here with you. Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Miigwech and mabuhay.